Before there was predestination, before there was daybreakers, there was Undead.
Those things you saw out there, that's only the beginning.
This is that thing.
How did they know where we were?
They can smell us. They want to feed off us.
And what about the meteorites falling from the sky?
It's probably just the sunlight coming through the clouds.
That was no sunlight.
Those bloody things won't die. I've never seen anything like it. There's so many of them!
They're all gone.
When I was a kid, we fucking respected our parents. We didn't fucking eat them!
Happy New Year and welcome to 2018, film fans. Lieutenant Fish is back to bring the pain with another review, with a new microphone this time. The first feature film directed by the twin Spierig Brothers, 2003's Undead, is a mixed bag. But as a directorial debut, it's not that bad, and it does give a good indication of future promise. As we'll discuss a little later, the biggest issue is attempting to simply cram too many ideas into a single film. A low-budget independent Australian horror flick, Undead starred Rene Chaplin as Felicity Mason, Mungo McKay as Marion, Rob Jenkins as Wayne, and Dirk Hunter as Harrison. The film starts in a small dusty town in the Australian outback, introducing us to a handful of initially unrelated characters who, as is typical, are shortly brought together as circumstances warrant in an effort to survive an apparent zombie infestation. The infestation itself is started by some sort of meteor shower, the first of several odd weather phenomena we observe in the film. As various characters attempt to leave the town, they are forced to turn back and slowly all wind up meeting at Marion's house, which serves as the initial survivor meetup. We have the leading lady Renee, the nutty former alien abductee survivalist Marion, a couple of cops, and a guy with his pregnant girlfriend. Will they all be able to make it out alive? Will anyone survive, or will they all wind up undead? Now, I will try to avoid giving away too many spoilers for this one, but I should say up front that this starts as a traditional zombie flick and transitions into a bit more of a genre mashup. The commentary tracks on the DVD give a lot of insight into the motivations for these shifts, as well as some excellent background on the production itself. Although Undead is a follow-up feature-length production based on an earlier series of short films created by the brothers, sadly the shorts themselves aren't included on any of the DVDs for comparison. On the whole, I think the best point of reference for Undead is something of a mix between Dead Alive and the Evil Dead films. It's the sort of down-under indie horror project where the creative team goes all in on a tiny budget. Compared to, say, Evil Aliens, which I previously reviewed, the budget is clearly larger, with a much larger cast and range of sets and scenery, but some of the CGI work is a little more limited, in keeping with the earlier time frame the film was made. In general, the acting is a little scattershot and hammy, but it's fun and works well with this type of film. Some appropriately hysterical reactions, although a few of them can get a little grating periodically, and could have been toned down a little bit. The zombie effects and makeup are excellent, and as usual with a film of this sort of budget, the practical work looks a lot better than the CGI work on the whole. While a number of the gunplay-related zombie kills are a little weak, there are still a lot of very fun and very creative and very bloody zombie kills utilizing more improvised weapons very creatively. As I mentioned earlier, this film does have a few weaknesses. The biggest and most glaring one, to me at least, is that it suffers from something common to many of us creative types, more so in movies, although I've fallen prey to it in many of my projects. The desire to cram as many cool concepts as possible into a single flick. The sort of thing that happens when you have this opportunity with all the funding and support coming together at one time in one place, and you're afraid you won't get a second opportunity under these circumstances. Generally, something like this is far more common with a wholly original product than any sort of adaptation or remake. A spark is there, but it's hard to mesh some of these scenes together organically. A number of them would probably not have been out of place in the original shorts, but they feel almost extraneous here in terms of both character and plot development. To say nothing of some of the biggest tone and plot shifts that I hinted at earlier, but will try to leave unspoiled for first-time viewers. Listening to the commentaries and hearing from both the actors and the creators, this project, like many of the other films I reviewed, was a legitimate labor of love with a lot of time, money, blood, sweat, and tears poured into it. And it's great to see the folks involved progressing further with their careers and creations. Just be aware going in that compared to their more recent films, Undead is definitely the weakest one in the lot. Although seeing it now, this title definitely falls under a number of my interests. I actually avoided it upon release, at least in terms of DVD rentals in the US, strictly because the Lionsgate poster looks so ridiculously generic at first glance. Obviously, a closer inspection might show a few surprises, but the color scheme and gas mask motif, which frankly play virtually no role in the actual movie, were an instant turnoff. I don't recall seeing any trailers for it either. I believe I read a review of the initial US DVD release on another site before importing it sight unseen. As far as the DVD, this one has seen a few different releases, and per DVDcompare.net, most of them are fairly packed with extra features. However, be aware that the US release has a few minutes cut. Possibly some of those extraneous or inorganic parts that I mentioned previously, on both the DVD and the digital release, courtesy of Lionsgate. My DVD is the UK Anchor Bay DVD from 2005. I don't see a matching cover currently listed at Amazon UK, so I'm not sure whether any of the currently listed discs have the same extensive list of extra features or not. My specific copy includes a number of featurettes and trailers, and most importantly, 2 separate commentaries. One by the directors and crew members, and one by a number of the leading cast members. At the time it was released, it was the only DVD version with both a Dolby Digital 5.1 track and a DTS 5.1 track for the audiophiles out there. I don't know if that's changed at all. Sadly, the film does not currently appear to be on Blu-ray anywhere. So in conclusion, if you get a kick out of weird, violent horror flicks, or zombie flicks in particular, Undead is definitely worth a watch. If you've only seen Daybreakers or Predestination, be aware that this is definitely a lower tier of quality for the Spierig Brothers, but it's always fun to look back at established filmmakers and see how they got their start. Hint hint, Peter Jackson. As always, if you enjoyed the review, please like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter if you're so inclined. New reviews every Thursday, other videos as I have time. Stay tuned, movie fans. Lieutenant Fish, out.